hoes try to stomach this thug life. They brain got the nose bandana on the grip. All heads coming out the foe. Connected from Cali to New York, niggas, so let it go. Made for this, nigga, I eat bars and drink flows. Thinking you woke into your third eye peephole. Line for line, this shit too easy, it's like a free throw. Mastered the game too early, this bitch a cheat code. It ain't a game, these niggas lame, state bring a shame. If I'm with an officer, it's a number in his name. We ain't the same, you want the easy pass, tell him change his lane. Shit, I've been through the fire, you can't stand the rain, take an aim. Tell him runner, he can try his best. Drive a car named after me, that's why I'm in the vet. Laugh at these niggas once again, and I ain't break a sweat. Number one at everything I do, that's why I'm one west. The Lord is not the God of the dead, so when I die, coming back for my spot, so forever I'm top 3. Just tell him to watch this janitor with the mop stick. You gon' need a defensive lineman to block this. On point when I bomb shit, 10 for 10 I do not miss. I'm barking with a full bulldog, it is not mixed. They can see that my mind's sick, I don't write, I find shit. I don't like it, then I...
Y'all by Shemel Shabakatham. You tuning in live with Precinct Captain Natazak and Shah out of ISUPK for another episode here out of ISUPK out of Virginia. You understand, if you in the state of Virginia, contact 757-550-1204. Whatever city or state that you in Virginia, contact the school. All Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, come and join this fight to stop the evil that's happening to our people. Again, this is another episode of the Combating Sexual Assault, Child Molestation series. Very important, man. A plague, an epidemic going on endlessly in the Black, Hispanic, Native American community, in the ghetto, in the suburbs, in poverty, in the rich house, the poor house, in the mosque, in the barrio, the detention centers, the reservations, everywhere that we are. This is an absolute epidemic. You understand? No matter your education level, your socioeconomic status, your citizenship status, whether you born there, friends, family, basketball coach, football coach, religious leaders, stars, athletes, poor, poverty, you understand, runaways, kids in the ghetto, juveniles, adults, like it's an absolute epidemic. And it's a silent epidemic that rarely gets talked about, definitely does not get discussed to the magnitude that it needs to be to solve the hell that our people are going through in our communities. And today we're going to talk about another episode there, talking about this Jim Jones situation, where Jim Jones sat down and did an interview, I believe it was with Angela Yee's service, Angela Yee from the Breakfast Club. He did an interview with her on her show called Lip Service, where he talked about how his mother, you understand, how his mother, Mama Jones, you understand, taught him how to kiss. You understand? Said, my mom taught me how to French kiss. She taught me how to kiss, man. She taught me how to French kiss, put her tongue in the brother's mouth, teaching him when he was young, you understand, how to kiss, how to be with a woman. Like, that is an absolute abomination to the Most High. Like, that is not supposed to happen whatsoever. That's not supposed to happen. But because our people are so destroyed and our communities and our families are so torn apart, these things happen to us because everything is out of the order that the Lord had intended and set up. 1 Corinthians chapter 11:3 says, but I would have you know this. But I would have you know. That's why it had to be written in the New Testament, and it had to be gone over in the Old Testament as well. The New Testament was not talking about something different from the Old Testament. You understand? It said, I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ. Like, the Lord has an order and a hierarchy that the top is Christ. Every man is supposed to follow Christ. That does not mean that every man is equal to Christ. But the head at the top is Christ. It's the chain of command. Of course, amongst men, you have a different chain of command. On different levels, there's no such thing as equality. The different men are not equal. You understand, there's an order everywhere in the Bible. You have the Most High, then you have Christ, then you have the angels. There's no equality amongst the angels. Mayaka Allah, the Archangel Michael, is in charge of the Lord's angels. You understand? In charge of the armies that are in heaven. Rapaya Allah, charged dealing with the healing. That's what Rapah means. The angels, you understand? Then you have Shaitan, or Satan. He is the angels in charge of all the Most High's evil angels, or what we know as demons today. Those are good angels and angels that do evil or bad. All of them serve the Most High in perfect order and in a hierarchy. On the earth, man is in charge. The Lord set up a man to be in charge and rule over our nation, just like he did in the days of Adam, then from Noah, then from Abraham, then Isaac, then Jacob, you understand, then Joseph, then Moses, then Joshua, then Samuel, and Gideon. All of these men the Lord set up in a hierarchy, and amongst them, there are men under those, like in Deuteronomy, the 1st chapter, officers and captains of tens and thousands of fifties. That's why we have general, commanding general Yohanan is in charge, generals under him, captains under those generals, officers under them, different levels of officers, down to the civilians, down to the man that's in every city, all of the communities and families we have that's in charge of their homes, and then the woman and their wives in charge of the homes that they have, and then the children. The men are supposed to be in charge of the house. The woman is not ever supposed to be in charge of herself, the family, the communities, the children. This is a disaster. You understand? That's why the Lord had to put it here, because we had been under the culture of the Greeks. The same white man that we are under now that calls himself an American, at one time, he descended from the Romans, and before that, descended from the Greeks. And that same Greco-Roman Empire, from the worship of the sun to the lesbianism, to the homosexuality, all of that is Greco-Roman culture that they got from Egypt, that they got from Babylon, that the Lord told us since the book of Genesis, the 10th chapter, to never be like Babylon. That is where these customs and cultures, now they're pushing the LGBT, want to get adults to be able to have sex with children, get rid of the genders so that boys and girls can go to school in the same bathroom, and men can be women and women can be men. And now, you know, you can have sex with children, just no inhibitions, which is what the Christian church has created, an area where it could fester like a sore, like cancer, like vomit, like a pus that festers in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community. They've allowed this to go so far because they've taught us to live our lives like our oppressor and not to obey the Most High and his rules, man. So it says, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man. There is supposed to be a man in charge. This is some young sister. She got pregnant with Jim Jones. I believe she was 17 years old. This is in essence a child that now has children. And in her sadness, in her loneliness, not having a man, not first of all having that father to make sure that his daughter is not out having sex at 16, 15, 16, so that she can end up being a mother in charge of another life. Like, this order has to be corrected. If this order does not get corrected the way that the Most High set up, these problems can never be stopped. You understand? This is going to continue to happen generation after generation, man. These problems can't get fixed. We can't stop this molestation until we fix our communities and put things back in their proper order, the way that the Lord says. You can tell in this brother's face, every time you see him, this brother has been thoroughly damaged by this incident that happened with him as a child, man. And it grow up, affect all of his relationships, all the way that he think. The brother has a horrible drug addiction. Every time you see him, he's got some blunt, some pill, something to smoke to get rid of, to try to burn this thing out of his conscience about how his mother sexually violated him, man. And the sister might be young. She probably didn't know any damn better. You understand? Probably had the same thing happen to her, which is why we dealing with it and addressing it constantly in the ISUPK. This brother still remember this horrible things that happened, just like most of our people is trying to get rid of this with drugs and weed and pills, trying to shake off this abuse that didn't happen to us, and don't have the spirit of the Lord to know how to deal with it. You understand? That's why this brother and many other brothers always getting high, like in our older videos. You understand? With Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston talk about how they developed this horrible drug addiction. Lil Wayne developed a horrible drug addiction and tried to kill himself from being sexually violated as a child, man. He was 13, I think he was 11 years old when they had some prostitute go and have sex with him. And then the next year he tried to kill himself and said it was an accident for about 20 years till he came clean, you know, about 5 or 6, 7 years ago, whenever that was, man. Like, these problems must be addressed in our community. Otherwise, you'll never be able to stop the drug overdoses. You'll never, now how is he supposed to go and have a normal relationship with a woman when his first introduction to any sort of sexual and physical contact with a woman was with his mother? Someone that he's supposed to be entrusted in, who knows whatever else she taught him, man. Like there's no substitute for that father. There is no substitute. A woman is not supposed to be left alone trying to figure out how to raise sons or daughters by themselves. The whole thing that the Lord created life, he set a man up. Life comes from that man. A woman bleeds dead eggs every month on her cycle that she can do absolutely nothing with without a man who has living seed alive in him, incubated in his testes, you understand, to put life inside of a woman to make people. The Lord did not make a mistake. He set that up a specific way for for many different reasons. But the Lord did not make a mistake in how he set things up. The Christian church taught us that we can live life an alternative way by following our oppressor, that the Christian preachers taught us to live our lives like white men. You understand? And that destroyed our families, destroyed our communities, destroyed our homes, destroyed our minds. This having sex with your brother and sister and cousin and father and nieces and nephews, these things come from our oppressor's culture. You understand? Your step brother and step cousin and big cousin and your uncle touching the kids and your mom and your mom's girlfriend and the babysitter lady that's touching you while she babysitting you and having sex with the kids. Like, this is our oppressor's culture. The way this sister dressing, this is not appropriate, man. She shouldn't be wearing nothing like this at all, period, exposing her breasts, showing herself like this. But this is another problem that the Christian church failed to teach our people how to correct. They don't teach us how to correct our behaviors. They teach you God loves you no matter what. God is on your side no matter what. And there are many of our people that think that, you know, that's the right thing to say. But that's not the spirit of the Lord, because it leaves the door open for evil and wickedness to happen continuously, because there is no one in power that's saying, yo, this is wrong. We got to stop this. We got to bring awareness to this. They'll tell you you got to bring awareness to voting. They'll tell you you got to bring awareness to go out and vote for the sheriff and the mayor and put Obama in office and vote for Biden and vote or die. They'll tell you that, but they won't tell you about how to stop all of this sexual abuse and child molestation going on in our communities, man. And that is because they are not men of God, man. They're not men of the Lord. You understand? Now we're going to go to Job. As a matter of fact, we're not going to go to Job yet. We're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 54. Like, this is a curse from the Most High. Like, they looking at him in the interview. He's saying it like, yeah, my mom, she taught me. Yeah, this was my mom. My mom taught me this, man. She taught me how to do this. Like, this is what the Lord is saying. It says the popular incident on YouTube where he talks about the relationship with his mom and says she's responsible for later teaching him about sex. She teaching him how he's supposed to kiss a woman, how to tongue kiss a woman by actually kissing. Like, you're not supposed to do this to your son, man. This destroys that brother. This brother been destroyed ever since. And then when you turn around and listen to the music, you understand, not that the music is an excuse for what happened, but the Lord said out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Like, this brother is so thoroughly damaged inside of himself that when you listen to brother's music, you say, damn, why would they say something like this? This whore, man, she a whore. She ain't nothing but a jump off. Me and the homies that have sex with her, pass her around. Like, this violation that happened to our people put the demons and the spirit on our people to look at each other this way. Like, the Bible says that a curse will not come without a cause. That's Proverbs 26 and 2, man. This thing got to get dealt with. You understand? Deuteronomy 28 and 54, it says, so that the man that is tender among you, a young brother, and very delicate. It's saying very delicate, not that this is a homosexual, not that this is some soft cat, some soft brother. He's tender, meaning he's a young brother. He ain't strong. He ain't no grown man up in ages with all kind of wisdom and knowledge and seen and been and experienced all through life. Like, this is a young man that's very delicate, very younger. His eyes shall be evil towards his brother, It's an evil thing towards your brother for you to go now and have sex with his sister and throw her away. That show you hate her father. You hate that brother. Because if you loved him, you would not leave his daughter to raise them kids by yourself. You wouldn't leave her to be in charge of herself and of the kids on her own, man. We're not talking about paying bills and, you know, giving her all the dreams and desires of her heart and putting her in the mansion and giving her all kind of jewelry and luxury things. That's not what we're talking about, man. The Lord has a responsibility. The Christian church does not teach a man what his responsibility is. The Christian church teach you your responsibility is to be weak up underneath of your mommy and then weak up underneath of your woman and give her all the desires of her heart. And that's not what the Lord said. Worship her, worship the ground she walk on, all that old R&B nonsense from the 60s, 70s, and 80s running game on a damn woman. That is not a man's responsibility. A man's responsibility is to teach his woman, correct his woman, put boundaries and borders up for his woman, examine her. Make sure that she's carrying herself properly because she is going to be dealing with the next generation. She's going to be raising the next generation of mothers and wives, or she's going to be raising the next generation of whores and thoughts. You understand? It's a great responsibility that a man has to make sure that things are going the right way according to the Lord. And this in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, this is a curse from the Most High. Because we did not listen to him, because we did not keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, because we took the customs of the other nations of people, because we joined in their way of life and lived like them, and all of their sexual practices and their beliefs. We did not have our families destroyed like this until we integrated. You understand? That was that last strong generation where parents and families stuck together all over. The most married people in the entire planet was Black people. I mean, in the entire United States was our people and our families, because our families have been ripped apart for so many centuries in slavery. Now we had the opportunity and we made good, big, strong families. And the Christian church fought to separate the Black man and his power and his authority over his wives, because he had 2 and 3 different family and was making 15, 20 children. And they weren't sitting in this preacher's church making him a mega millionaire like Creflo Dollar and T.D. Jakes and Al Sharpton and Martin Luther King and Jesse Jackson. They weren't making mega millionaire preachers because they were taking care of their families. They were raising up, making big, strong families. And the women's movement, the women's rights movement, along with Planned Parenthood, the eugenics movement, the Negro Project, the U.S. government passed laws to make sure it crippled the Black man's ability to be lord over his families, his neighborhood, his communities, and then sisters was left. You understand? The economies was gone. Families was destroyed. And America gave government grants and housing and subsidies. If sisters got rid of their man, America could now be their man. Any problem, dial America's husband, which is that 911, because your husband is gone. That's what this scripture is talking about. We're going to get more on it. His eyes evil towards his brother, murdering his brother, killing his brother, selling dope to his brother, getting high with his brother, robbing his brother, exploiting his brother. You understand? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and towards the wife of his bosom, his woman, that laying down, you understand, deep and real close to him, man, that he laying down having sex with the wife of his bosom. Because sex is marriage. You're not supposed to be getting in those type of sexual contact with your mother, with your father, with your goddamn children, man, with your stepbrother. You understand? You're not supposed to be in no type of contact like that. That's against the Lord. But again, because the Christian church does not teach what God says, this happens. You understand? And towards the remnant of his children. The remnant means whoever's left. Because it ain't hardly none left, because they done wiped our families out between AIDS, between cancer, between murder, between prison, integration, poverty, heart attack, stroke, diabetes, now COVID, murder, gangs, drugs. Like we getting wiped the hell out. And we have been. And abortion, 20 million since Roe versus Wade, man. We getting decimated in this empire. And the remnant of his children, which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat. because he have nothing left him in the siege. In the siege, our cities were sieged by integration. They passed all kind of laws to wipe out our economy. All the businesses we started since we came out of slavery, we made Black universities, Black cities and towns, our own banks and schools, our own cab companies, train bus lines. We had all of these things that we created, not just in Tulsa, Oklahoma, not just in Rosewood, Florida, but in DC and in the Carolinas and in the South and in Georgia and in Harlem and in Philly, in Baltimore, all of these areas and places, in Detroit. We set up and made for ourselves, and the siege wiped us out. They brought in the Chinese, the Arabs, the Africans, the East Indians, every people America went to war with. They brought them to America and set them up with businesses right over the top of us after our traitor Black leaders, them civil rights Negroes, from Abernathy to Sharpton to Jesse Jackson to Martin Luther King, A. Philip Randolph, all of them worked with the United States government, and it left our people in a siege with nothing. Then they came and dropped crack cocaine and heroin, mandatory minimums, all those military weapons from Vietnam, the Macs and the Techs, all of those weapons, the A1, the Thompsons, the Tommy guns, they all just got dumped into the Black community. You understand? With no more fathers in charge and daughters like this left on her own, get knocked up, some brother leave, don't want nothing to do with her. Our whole society fell a goddamn part, man. In order to fix this, you got to get in the ISUPK. You got to put in your brick, lace up your boots, brother, to get in here to repair this damage. You understand? That's been done to our people. And in the straightness wherewith the enemy shall distress thee in all thy gates, everywhere our enemies distressing us. You may not realize it, but it's a distressing thing to why you and your people can't get a business in your neighborhood, but you see the Chinese prosper, the Arabs, the Koreans, the East Indians, the Africans, everybody come and just get prosperous right over the top of us. That's a curse from the Lord, because we chose to be Democrats and Republicans and Christians and Muslims and Rastas, and we chose the gangster and drug lifestyle and political lifestyle and the Christian lifestyle. We chose everything except keeping God's laws, statutes, and commandments and returning back to our heritage, which is God's chosen people, the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, which is what God called us in the Bible, the God of our fathers. The Arabs have their own God. There's no problem with having sex with children in Islam. They don't have no problem with that, man. You can go and look up the child brides of Lebanon now and see 400 Arab men, 20, 30, 40 years old, with little 8, 9, 10-year-olds in wedding dresses and in makeup, crying, getting married off to some goddamn pedophile that's gonna rape all them babies and call it marriage, just like Muhammad did. You understand? All you Muslims out there, just like Muhammad did. When he married, had sex with Aisha at 11 goddamn years old, he having sex with some baby, she playing with dolls, and some rapist in there having sex with her, talking about, we married, this my bride. That's a heathen's culture. That ain't our culture. The Lord forbid that in the Bible. But if you don't follow the Bible because you a Christian and you say Jesus paid it all, God knows my heart, then all the babies gonna get molested. Everybody, mama. Then the moms is going to be teaching their son how to tongue kiss and have sex. You understand? On them. That's why it's important that we obey the Lord, man. You cannot imagine how much evil is going on, and the root cause is the Christian church. You understand? You understand? It says, the tender and delicate woman among you, a young woman. This ain't no older woman. She don't have decades and years of experience of marriage and seeing how things go and the value of having that man be overcharged in the community, because the community been taken over and distressed by the enemies. You got the enemy's law enforcement in your neighborhood, not yours. It ain't fixing your community. That's your oppressor's law enforcement, your oppressor's court system, your oppressor's mortgage system, your oppressor's payment system. When we paid ourselves with our own businesses, we paid each other more than white people were paying their own people. And they had centuries worth of money from free labor and selling us in chattel slavery for centuries. Do you hear me? You know how long 1 century is? That's 100 years of free money, free labor, revolving door of free money that you don't ever have to pay your workers. They did not take care of their own people. That's why they came and murdered us and burned our towns down, like Rosewood, like Florida, like Philly. That's why they came and did these things, man. And that's why we have to understand the root cause of these problems so we can fix it. You might think the problem is just this sister here. The problem ain't her. She's 17 years old with a baby. What in the hell does she know about having to raise a son? What the hell does she know about being a mother and a wife at 17 years old? Probably have no idea who her daddy is. He probably don't have no idea who his father is. Who in the hell was supposed to teach her? The leaders that swore that they were men of God in our community, they were supposed to teach our people. But they went and joined America following behind the civil rights leaders, and they were not concerned about the problems in our community. They the ones that begged for the damn policing that you complaining about, the shooting brothers in the back 40 goddamn times. Those Christians begged for this in the 80s and the late 90s. They begged for these. Those mandatory minimums that gave everybody life sentences after the previous decade wiped our goddamn businesses out, wiped our families out, and left mothers to teach their sons about sexual education the best way she know how. She don't know what the hell she doing, but now she's in charge because of Martin Luther King, because of America, because of the preachers, because of Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. So now she got to molest you to teach you how to deal with a woman. She can't just let you be a baby. She's sad and alone and hurt, raising kids by herself, and the whole goddamn thing is just a mess, which is why the Lord put order in how things are supposed to go. Our people are destroyed, man. This brother destroyed. This brother is destroyed. That's why every time you see him, he need a goddamn blunt in his hand. He needs some pills. He needs some syrup. Every time you see him, he can't do an interview without weed. He can't hold a conversation without needing to get high because he's been destroyed since he was a goddamn baby. And nobody want to talk about it. But the ISUPK, the real men of God are here to talk about it, man. We ain't Christians in here. You understand? It says, and the tender and delicate woman, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground, for delicateness and tenderness. That's how our sisters used to be, man. It says her eyes shall be evil towards her husband of her bosom. Her eye gonna be evil towards her baby, man. She gonna leave that man. She gonna take his kids, run to another state, and go have sex with other men and make babies with those men too. That's an evil thing, man. All of this is evil according to the Lord. And towards her daughter, she gonna hate that daughter. She gonna look at how that daughter coming up, and that daughter developing a figure that ain't been changed and shaped by all of these kids that she didn't have, and she gonna be jealous of that daughter. She gonna be jealous of that beauty that she think the daughter is taken from her because she's simple out of her goddamn mind and jealous of her own kids. You understand? Which is why the Lord says she ain't supposed to be in charge of herself, airing out her frustrations on the kids, hitting the kids, don't have no goddamn patience, fighting, growling at the kids, like a damn baby's supposed to know what the hell to do, like it's not a baby, just monsters. And this is what has happened to our community. This is what has happened to our families. That's why God said this would happen if we did not obey him. This isn't happening to the Chinese family. This ain't happening to the Arab family. This ain't going on to the East Indian family. They have problems and their society functions normal. You understand me? But our society does not function normal with these issues, man. It said towards the young one, and toward her young one that cometh out between her feet, the baby she delivering, and toward the children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them. She gonna hate them. She gonna destroy them. She gonna break them, whether she want to or not. She shall eat them in one of all things secretly. She gonna want a man to be there to comfort her, but she not gonna have one because our people destroyed. So she gonna turn and look to her son and make her son her man. She gonna look to her son as the man. You understand? Because she can't get a man or can't keep a man, or the men keep leaving her, so she gonna make the son her man. So now you gonna grow up being weak underneath of your mama your whole life. Mama, my favorite girl. You know, I always love my mama. You know, I got to make mommy happy. Like, that's a demon. Your life is not supposed to revolve around making your mommy happy. You can't serve the Lord and serve your mommy. That's why so many brothers scared to come into the truth, because your mommy got more pull over you than the Lord does. You understand? If your mommy don't like you talking that way, mommy don't like you being too much of a man, too much masculinity. That's why she's taking you to church, so they can get some of that, break some of that masculinity out of you to make you soft, so she can be in charge. So you can get another woman who expects you to be soft, so she can be in charge. That's against the Lord, man. The Lord never set life up to be that way, man. And it says, for she shall eat them in one of all things secretly, in the siege and straitness, wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. You understand? And now we will go to Job chapter 39 and 16. It says, she is hardened against her young ones. You don't understand what the Lord said is hard and what the Lord said is kind and sweet and love and meek. You think love is whatever touch or feeling or emotion that you get because you've been raised by Christians, because the Christian church has taught you. And you've never been taught by the men that God actually appointed to lead our people, which is in the ISUPK. It says, she is hardened toward her young ones. That's a hard pill to swallow, having your mother sexually abuse you, man. That's a hard pill to swallow and carry that around for the rest of your life, man. Brother, destroy it. That's why he got to be high all the time. That's why half of our race is strung out on drugs. That's why if you don't deal with this, then everybody going to overdose. It ain't just going to be Whitney Houston. You understand? Young brothers overdosing left and right, night and day, rich and poor. You understand? Hearts giving out from all the weed and lean and syrup they drinking. This is a damn epidemic in our communities. They looked at Jim Jones like he was strange as hell for it, and it's terrible and it should not happen, but it is extremely common in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community. And the only way for it to stop is there is a force to combat all of the evil that keeps happening. You understand? It says, she is hardened towards her young one, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear, because the Most High have deprived her of wisdom. You understand? In her mind, she thought this was a wise thing for her to teach her son this. Just like Jada Pinkett's grandma thought it was a wise thing for her to molest her goddamn granddaughter. Teach her granddaughter how to play with herself. Teach her granddaughter how to masturbate, how to rub and feel and kiss and finger on herself so that a man will not give her the pleasure, so she be loyal to her man. Grandma going to molest her and teach her that you give pleasure to yourself and don't ever be weak under a man. That's an evil thing that the Lord is talking about. Hardened against her young ones as though they were not hers. Neither have he imparted to her understanding. She's too goddamn dumb to understand that. She's not wise enough to understand that. That's why the Lord put a man in charge. All of your degree and paperwork, that's not wisdom from God. God put things inside of a man that a woman cannot have. She can't get it. She's not going to understand it because God have deprived her of wisdom. If someone deprives you of food or deprive you of oxygen or deprive you of water, you're going to die. Your brain will shut down. Your body will shut down. You'll start to fail. Deprivation is something that is damaging to you. And God purposely deprived a woman of something that would hurt her if she did not get it. And he did it so that she would be reliant on her man. And this oppressor in the Christian church worked to destroy her man so that she does not have the wisdom that she needed. And then everyone can exploit her. That's what the LGBT community does. That's what the preachers do. That's what America does. That's what Pharaoh did. That's what Rome and Greece did. That's what every empire did. They exploited our sisters. And in the ISUPK, we are fixing the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community. Like, share, and subscribe. This has been another episode of ISUPK. No Cowards, Virginia. Shalom.
Let nobody tell you crack. You know why? Because I never saw you before. But you are a black man like me. sucker.
My whole life was trying to find something to follow. Had loyalty, every man tried to borrow. Felt pain and a lot of sorrow. Got betrayed, sold packs, I didn't even have my heart broke. Living confused, about to lose hope. Cops got me on the side of the road like a sideshow. Need an antidote before I croak. Now I'm setting fire to rhythm man blues for this guitar smoke. Rebel with no cause, trying to find direction. The world got me vexed. Picked up a bad liquor habit that's hereditary from oppression. Felt like my life was on fire, trying to find an exit. Now look, 10 G's plus a good wreck. Sometimes a follower is a soldier, trying to find a good ship. Plus when you in hell, how do you excel? Wisdom the breath of life, I don't believe in fairy tale. Listen well to what I tell. No calling can cause pain, something that a rebel knows very well. Can't you tell I was sent